Today we're going to be talking about creating the most effective social media campaign for your e-commerce business. And this webinar is presented jointly by Moontoast as well as Lyons Consulting Group. My name is Tim Putnam. I'm the Vice President of Client Services at Moontoast, and I help our clients to understand their social strategies as it relates to social-rich media. And help them get onto the platform and use that effectively. We do have e-commerce solutions as well as other social marketing tools that get people advanced along the path to purchase. And with us today we also have Rich Lyons, CEO and President of Lyons Consulting Group. Rich, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. We're very excited to be presenting this webinar with Moontoast today, and I'm excited about our partnership. I'm just going to run through a few slides here at the beginning just to tell you a little bit about Lyons and a little bit about what we do, and then we'll jump right into the topic in terms of creating the most effective social media campaigns. Tim, if you want to advance me here, and we'll just real quickly, a little background on Lyons. If you go to the next slide, we're an e-commerce digital agency. So what does that mean? Basically, it means we do a number of different services. So we have a retail strategy practice that really helps customers evaluate their competition, do research, analytics, competitive benchmarking. We have a full design and UX. So we have a full agency in-house, and we take what we'd call a user-centered design approach. So really focusing on personas, who's coming to your site, making sure that your navigation, your architecture of your site all match that. We do builds. We focus on two platforms right now, Demandware and Magento. So we do the builds, the integrations, any customizations, really getting you up to speed. We also do support and hosting, everything from enhancements to full 24/7, 365 support. And then we'll come back, because once you launch, oftentimes, and I think Tim will, can elaborate on this point, but once you do launch, how do you drive traffic? How do you look at conversion? What do you do? So that's really when the work starts often when you launch your new site. And then we have client services that basically, really manages the whole relationship and is really your advocate. Just a little bit about our background. We were founded 10 years ago, actually. We've got over 160 professionals. We're headquartered in Chicago. We have offices also in Rockford and Ann Arbor, Michigan. We just moved into new offices, actually. And we do have some international teams as well that really help with some of our development, but also with the 24/7 support. And really, our company is built on really supporting our customers, having happy and satisfied customers. And that's really what we focus on. We've got from startups to global brands. We implemented over 100 websites just last year. And here's some examples you'll see of some of the sites that we've implemented on Magento, Warner Music Group, Oneida, See Wonder, Zoomies, Maui Jim Sunglasses, and then you'll see some of our Demandware customers on the next slide. So Pacific Sunwear, and Vineyard Vines, and Deckers, and Joann's, and Life is Good. So we've got some great experience in terms of customers, and I think to the point today, a lot of them actually are very interested in social media and social media campaigns as well. So very excited about this and kind of diving into the content.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Tim.
Today we're, well, I guess a little bit about Moontoast. So Moontoast is a social-rich media advertising platform, and what that means is we essentially have a platform that lets brands create interactive and transactional experiences and then distribute them anywhere online, specifically across mobile and social networks. So we believe that this webinar is really kind of a timely webinar, just in the sense that there's a lot of news that's going around right now around how social plays a role in retail and e-commerce in general. So Moontoast has that rich media platform. We are a Facebook preferred marketing developer, and we're one of the winners of the Innovation Challenge at Facebook this past spring. We've also been Twitter Cards approved, which means that we're able to provide deeper experiences within the Twitter stream as well. So today we're talking really about the reach of social. Facebook has 1 billion users, and Twitter has 500 million users. Obviously, everyone is familiar with the advent of social. It's kind of funny to think that a decade ago it was in its infancy, and how far it's come. But with communities of social consumers going to social media sites like Facebook and Twitter daily, the potential for a brand to make their social mark on social can't be ignored. So in addition to that, mobile and the incredible rise of the smartphone, even over the last 6 months, is driving people to have these engagements wherever they are. So part of those engagements are also e-commerce. And mobile-driven online sales in the U.S. are expected to reach $2.12 billion in 2013, and then over the next 3 years, that just skyrockets to $62 billion. So there's a lot of anticipation of how mobile is going to really change the game, and how consumer behavior on both social and mobile is going to present a whole new opportunity for e-commerce. So how has social already affected e-commerce? So website traffic increase and visitors coming from social are buying. The examples that we state here, so Levi's site, say they increased web referral traffic by 40% just by adding a like button to their website. There's also more referrals coming from social channels than from search engines now. So we're seeing that the social behavior and the influence that friends have is really an important thing that affects actual e-commerce. So in terms of the value of social, the numbers are being unveiled, and you can see here that 68% of consumers go to social networking sites to read product reviews. Over 50% of consumers use social networks to provide product feedback, and that's both negative and positive. And 59% say user-generated product reviews have a significant impact on their buying behavior. So social influence is actually a pretty huge thing. So how does that translate into actual dollars? So this graph shows the assisted revenue per share. So the example here is that a person tweets a product and then places an order. So if I'm looking through my Twitter stream or through an e-commerce site and they have a like or a tweet button on there, I support the product because I think it's cool, and I tweet about it and say, check out this product, it's cool. And to further commit to my endorsement, I then go and make that purchase. So you can see this broken down by social network here, and at the top we have Twitter and Facebook, which are obviously the two larger ones. But the assisted revenue per share is $26 on Twitter and $16 on Facebook. And you can see it goes down from there, but those are really significant numbers when you think of the ability now to give a consumer the chance to endorse a product that he's interested in and have that endorsement really tie into their buying behavior. So you give them the chance to say, I really like this thing, and that subconsciously or not influences them to go through with the purchase. And what that also does is lets other people know about it. And so the second slide that we're looking at here is talking about the incremental revenue per click. So this is someone sees a tweet. So in the first example, that's me tweeting and then me buying. In the second example, that might be you seeing my tweet, clicking on the link, and then placing the order. So you can see that it doesn't have the same dollar figure here in terms of, the previous high was $26. But you can see that the want indication and the like indications are both really close to $1 per click. So those are really significant numbers, especially when you can consider them in an advertising type context. So the incremental revenue per click can be a significant number, and we anticipate that this number is going to grow as consumer behavior continues to shift to social and mobile, and as brands continue to kind of crack the code and figure out how to influence buyers to enact within those environments. So where are e-commerce consumers coming from? I've talked a little bit about mobile already, and this graph is displaying desktop and laptops at the top of the graph in blue, and then mobile and tablet down below in orange and green, respectively. So this is showing the percentage of visits each month that come from desktop, mobile phones, or tablets. And you can see the downward trend of desktop and the upward trend of mobile. I'm sure that if you have a website and you're paying attention to analytics, you might see a similar type of behavior of site traffic coming to visit. I know that at Moontoast we've certainly seen an increase, a significant increase in mobile traffic, whereas in October of last year even we were seeing about 23 to 26% traffic from mobile. And in the last quarter, it was not uncommon for us to have, up to 70 or 80% mobile. And some of that's due to the way that brands are advertising and targeting on social networks. But a lot of that is just from the adoption of smartphones. So talking now about the spending on social, or how the relationship with spending compares with shopping, we know where consumers are coming from, where they're starting their journey. So now we can see what they're actually doing on that journey. So 85.8% of shopping sessions are started by a Facebook click-through. Pinterest number is 11.3% and Twitter is 3.2%. And then from those shopping sessions, consumers from Facebook go on to an average of 7 pages per visit. Pinterest shoppers have 4 pages per visit and Twitter shoppers have 3. And then finally, 2.6% of those people from Facebook who have clicked through actually make the purchase, and 0.9% of Pinterest shoppers make that purchase, and 1.1% of Twitter shoppers make that purchase. So this is an incredible tie-in to see that consumer journey unfold from a social impression and click-through into an actual purchase. And again, we believe that this type of behavior is going to increase over time. So how are e-commerce and social similar? Social media content comes from the users. It's user-generated. It's a two-way street where brands can actually have conversations with the consumer. Consumers can become brand advocates and speak on behalf of brands. They can also voice any concerns or displeasure. But it's really opened up this incredible world where we have the opportunity to get to know our consumers and surprise and delight them. And on e-commerce sites, most of the content is also user-generated. So if you think about reviews and Q&A sections, that makes up more content than the description of a product most of the time. And as an example, if we're looking here at this shoe example, this is from Amazon. The product description has 68 words in it, whereas the 143 customer reviews have 6,813 words. So you can definitely see that from a user-generated perspective, the content reach is really it's been there all along. I think at least for the last over the last decade with comments and reviews, and that's now starting to bleed over into social. So the user experience on e-commerce site is usually not so social. The overall experience needs to have distinct sharing sections that are clear to the user. And Rich, maybe you have some context here, but we believe that there needs to be this strong marriage between e-commerce and social sharing to eliminate the steps in the path to purchase journey.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tim. I think definitely people are much more engaged, and it is kind of taking the in-store experience online, which I think, omni-channel, multi-channel, which is really becoming, more and more popular and more relevant, I think. But people do want to be able to share, do want to be able to talk, do want to be able to, like you're saying, talk about what they like, talk about even what they've purchased, and be an advocate. So I totally agree.
So then the ultimate experience of this would be actually taking out the need to go to the website where they can make a transaction within social and actually bring the storefront to them within social, which is something that we've worked with Lyons to be able to bring to Lyons customers and Magento and Demandware users. So this is what we're about to talk about, is what happens when we combine e-commerce, mobile, and social. Well, the result is what we call social stores and rich media posts across both desktop and mobile. So what we've seen to be the most successful is when brands treat their social audiences like VIPs and add interest and interactivity within the content that they're providing in their daily updates on social, and also to drive awareness and appointment dynamic. It's been our experience that the conversation on social is an incredibly important part of a brand's social presence, and it's not the place, for example, for an evergreen store. But if you do create and curate items that are in some way exclusive or limited or special, and it doesn't always have to be a discount, maybe it's a first look or first access to a product, those types of campaigns have done a couple of things in social. Number one, they convert very strongly, and we'll look at a couple examples in a second. But number two, they also create a ton of awareness. So if you're doing a product launch and you do give a social audience the first crack at purchasing this so that they can have the first access, they're very likely to not only make the purchase, but to go back a few slides, they're also going to endorse that by sharing the experience to their friends. And with the technology that Moontoast provides, they can actually share the social store within their stream where fans can load and transact actually without leaving Facebook. So that's something that we'll get into some case studies in just a second. But first we're going to talk about a couple other social tools. First of all, the power of video. And I think we've seen that up to 60% of customers watch product videos, and 64% of customers say they're more likely to buy after watching a video. So for e-commerce business, videos provided this powerful new way to show products and take advantage of viewer engagement. Another interesting stat is that it's estimated that 170 million Americans will watch product videos in 2012. So I guess that already happened. But while the percentages vary, sites have found that customers, again, are 64% more likely to buy after watching the product video. So an example of that, I think that someone who does this really well is Zappos. They do a really great job offering a video and verbal explanation of a product along with the different angle views. So just by providing this dynamic way to look at a product and learn about it instead of just the static imagery, they've reported conversion rates ranging from 6 to 30% once they implemented video on their products. So now let's look at a couple of case studies that we've done at Moontoast, and then we're going to get into some question and answers. So last December, we did a project with the country music star Keith Urban, and Keith had done a fan contest where he had invited fans to design a design for a new t-shirt that they were going to roll out, and he was going to choose the winner, and then they were going to make these available. So once they chose the design, they wanted to release this in a way that was going to make a big splash. So again, think of this as a new product launch. So what they did was they used a Moontoast social store to drive exposure and engagement and test out this Facebook advertising. So one thing that I will say also about a Moontoast post is that the reach on Facebook from an organic perspective is between 6 and 15%, depending on the size of your audience. And because of that limit in reach, we highly recommend implementing a media strategy to use Facebook advertising to support the reach of these posts and these campaigns. And Moontoast Rich Media units do have the ability to not only be posted as status updates, but also as Facebook ads within the newsfeed, and take advantage of all of the Facebook targeting that can get very, very granular, much deeper than just simple gender and age demographics. We can actually go down to the likes on someone's page and target according to that. So it opens up a ton of very, very specific advertising opportunities to not only hit your core target audience, but also to test and optimize and see if a different type of audience responds well to one of your offers. And then, if you do an ad that targets, say, 10 different groups, and you see that, the top 5 that are performing, you then shift the rest of your ad spend to that, you're going to convert at a much higher level. So Facebook allows us to do a lot of this cool stuff, and Twitter is not far behind them in opening up their ads ecosystem as well. So with Keith Urban here, I talked about curating the offer. So what made this one special was that, number one, it was the launch of a product, it was a winning t-shirt design, and it was being introduced on December 12th, 2012 for only $12, and that was for 24 hours. So you've got a couple of these sort of game mechanics and curation techniques that are in place here to make this a product launch. Now they also wrapped this with some additional social marketing just in their content calendar. For example, Keith took a video of himself actually wearing the t-shirt and saying that this was going to be available to fans at the specific date and time that it launched. So that created additional appointment dynamic. And they also created a Facebook event where fans could RSVP for this. So you now have a bunch of people who are looking for the offer to come, which is a really important thing to have in the social landscape, where status updates can fall down and off a wall in a matter of minutes or hours. So we launched this on the 12th for 24 hours. It was $12, and then I think it went up to 20 or 25 after that. But we had over 500,000 impressions. We were driving a 14% conversion rate at one point, and it ended up being around 10, with a huge interaction rate as well. And interactions within our units are just clicks, additional clicks once the unit is loaded. But incredible conversion story. I think we did over 700 of these. But it's a really great example, kind of the textbook example of curating the offer, supporting it with the proper social marketing to create that appointment dynamic. And the other thing that they do a really good job of is once the sale is over, saying thank you. And that can be in your own special little way with your own brand persona, but definitely letting people know that you appreciate them taking the time to look at it and make the purchase, or to share with their friends is definitely helpful. Another example is a campaign that we did with Tree Torn Shoes. And the goal here was to offer multiple shoes for a week, and this was on the heels of a campaign that we had done a month prior to this one, where we did I talk again about curating an offer. So we did one shoe, one size, one day for that sale. So basically it was, if you wore a size 6, then on the 6th of the month we were offering one shoe that was going to be $20. So $20 is pretty much a steal for Tree Torn Shoes, which I think that was close to 70 or 75% off. And a lot of the styles, granted, were shoes that they wanted to clear out, but what a way to do it. So they followed that up with, and that was a 7-day sale that they went through each size each day. And so they came back and they just put a bunch of different styles, 10 styles, for $20 because they felt that that was kind of a sweet spot. And the results were incredible. So 9.4% conversion from impression, which doubled the revenue from the previous offer. So again, this is just a great example of curating an offer, presenting it in a way that matches the brand's kind of quirky style here, and getting people to really engage and share and let their friends know that, oh my gosh, Tree Torn is doing this $20 sale. And as a person who has never owned a pair of Tree Torns, I have to say that I did buy a pair, and now that brand is on my radar. And then finally we'll look at a music example that we did with the hip-hop artist Chameleonaire, where he had a pre-sale of an album, and this is an example. We looked at the Keith Urban that was a 24-hour sale. We looked at the Tree Torn 10 styles for $20 sale, which lasted for a week. And the Chameleonaire sale is an example of a campaign that lasted closer to a month. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks. So the goal was to introduce the opportunity for fans to buy or pre-order his new EP. So he wanted to build buzz and activate his fans. And so we developed a social store with him, as well as what we call a pop-up store on his website. But it's all really designed to create social engagement. So when he launched it, and Chameleonaire, if you aren't familiar with him, has an incredible social media presence. He's very, very knowledgeable about the space, very, very savvy as a businessman. It was a lot of fun to work on with this project. And just by building up the hype, saying that it was coming, again, he did all of the right things in terms of sort of creating mystery and hype and creating that interaction and building it up to create appointment dynamic. We had 100 units sold per hour in the first 5 hours, which was just mind-boggling there. We had orders from 42 of the 50 states in those first 5 hours. The campaign had a 13% conversion rate and did over 4,000 units. So we were really, really happy with this as an example of a social commerce campaign. And one of the cool things about working with Lyons is that with the integrations that we have with Magento and Demandware, it can be a very seamless solution in terms of order processing and fulfillment, where as the fan places the order through the Moontoast unit, those orders get kind of piped back through the Magento or Demandware systems for your teams to fulfill them. Rich, do you have anything to add before we jump into the Q&A?
No, Tim, thanks. I appreciate that. I do agree, and I think that's an important point from an implementation perspective. With the integration being, fairly straightforward and easy in terms of what we've built together, makes it very easy to implement some of these campaigns and see, like you're showing, some really tremendous results.
So with that, we're going to open it up to question and answers. I have a couple here, but there is on the GoToWebinar a question box, and if you do have a question, please enter it in there, and we'll go through and answer some of these questions as we have a bit of time to do so. And give me just a second, and we'll get it kicked off. So Rich, this first one is probably directed to you, but it says, how complex would it be to integrate Moontoast into our current campaign? What considerations should we have?
Sure. No, I think from that perspective, given that there are, from a Demandware perspective, a cartridge and a Magento perspective, an integration and extension, it isn't that complex to actually do that and then to integrate it into your campaigns. It depends, obviously, a little bit on your campaigns, but from the integration perspective and the work that you'd have to do to make it happen, it actually is very straightforward. and Moontoast has been great to work with. And so, if you like what you're seeing here, definitely reach out and contact one of us, and we can definitely have a further discussion about it.
Thanks, Rich, and I'll second that. It's a pretty seamless integration, and once it's set up, it's just incredibly easy. And our team at Moontoast works all the time with brands on social strategies and how to implement social commerce in ways that are really going to excite the fan base and have really more of an objective for the brand to not only sell things and generate that incremental revenue, but also to use those cases as brand awareness tools as well. Next question, how easy is it to track results and how quickly can you see results? So I think that's a great question, and that's something that we're definitely focused on at Moontoast is the analytics and how we're doing, especially when you get into the ads ecosystem. The huge question on everybody's mind is, how do you calculate social ROI? And with social commerce, you're certainly able to do that just based on the sales that it generates. But we believe that there's also a ton, like I said a second ago, a ton of other benefits that brands get, whether that be brand awareness or creating purchase intent, all of these sort of peripheral advantages that you have. But to directly answer the question, we do have a dashboard on the Moontoast platform that has metrics for each unit, and we look at things in what we call a DITE methodology, which stands for Discovery, Interaction, Transaction, and Endorsement. And each phase of those are kind of how we view the social activation life cycle. So a discovery would be when someone clicks on one of our units out in the social stream to load it. An interaction would be any additional click within the unit that is not the actual transaction. The transaction obviously is either the sale or the primary KPI being fired. And then endorsement is any likes, comments, or shares to spread, increase the earned reach of that post. So from our dashboard, you're able to see all of that stuff, as well as any of the revenue and orders reports, impressions, all of the typical analytics that you would expect to see. The next question is, do the Moontoast units have video that accept any type of video file? So the answer to that is it depends on the unit that you want to use. We do have a video referral unit that is designed to create brand awareness with a click-through. It's essentially, if you were going to post a YouTube video, you could wrap basically a billboard ad around that has one or more up to 6 calls to action that could link off-site. That particular unit uses the link from a YouTube video. In some of our commerce units, you do have the ability to upload a video, which could be like an MOV type file to play as an intro on the unit. But I'm happy to talk about that if you want to reach out after the webinar to give you any more details on that. Let's see. So this question, how important is social logins for e-commerce sites? Is it being used and does it convert? Rich, I'd love to get your perspective on having social logins on e-commerce sites. Do you have any experience with that?
We do have some experience with that, and we've seen very good results, especially as we're talking about brands that are social and very socially engaged. I mean, so having a single sign-on type solution or the ability to carry over the sign-on, I mean, it just makes that purchase funnel much easier from that perspective. So we have seen some very good results from that, and it's just we're seeing it more as offering an option, right? Instead of creating a unique or a separate username for a site to use, to make it easier, use your same login, the same login that you're using on Facebook.
Excellent, thank you. The next question is, how would something like this work with a startup independent record label? So I think the answer to that is there are a variety of ways that that Rich Media can help not only sell but also promote an artist or a stable of artists. And we work with a lot of the music industry, from Universal Music Group to Big Machine. Big Machine was one of our first clients, and that's Taylor Swift's record label. Taylor was the first social store that we ever launched, actually. So we have a ton of experience with the music vertical, and probably makes sense if you do have some detailed questions on that, just to reach out to us. You can find us at hello@moontoast.com, but we'd love just to talk about some strategies that we've seen to be successful there. The Moontoast platform is a SaaS platform, so it's basically a monthly fee to access the stable of tools, and that includes both the commerce as well as the marketing Rich Media units that we have. This is a great question. Have people become less anxious about buying through social commerce sites? I think that it probably depends on who the brand is, but I think if you were going to ask as a whole, are people becoming more and more comfortable with that? Our data indicates that that people are becoming more comfortable with it, and we've tried to do some things along the way to help provide that confidence. Moontoast is a PCI Level 1 compliant vendor. We also have integrated with some of the familiar checkout options such as PayPal and Amazon Checkout. So whenever you see some of those familiar logos, we've seen that to actually tremendously increase conversion. And we've had up to 40% of our share of wallet go to PayPal when that's offered as a checkout option. If the brand is supportive of the commerce offer also, that definitely helps. Again, with the pre-marketing and making it a big event, that definitely, I think, instills confidence in people's minds as well as repetition. So if you post the unit more than once, that definitely helps as well. So this question, is this all commerce in the news feed, or are companies utilizing Moontoast ad units elsewhere? So Moontoast natively functions within the Facebook newsfeed, and what I mean by that is it will load and transact within there, but it also is completely mobile compatible. So if it's shared across Twitter or Google+, or Tumblr, or any of the other social sites, and people encounter them and click on our link to load the unit, it is a seamless experience, and that's why we put so much emphasis on the fact that it is mobile friendly, especially with the growth of mobile and mobile advertising. In fact, just yesterday I read an article about the mobile advertising has increased. I think the stat was 86% in the last year as people have adopted smartphones. So that's just an incredible number to consider whenever you're thinking about a mobile strategy. So this question is, how can one create a campaign with a product that isn't very widely sold, such as art or photos? And Rich, I don't know if you have any kind of strategic advice for this. I'll give it a shot, and if you have something to add, then please do. But I think that we've seen a lot of success with things that are not widely sold, actually, especially in social commerce. We talk about curating items so that you give people a reason to buy now as opposed to waiting and going to the store later to get them. So by creating these events that are timely and limited in both quantity and time, all of those things work together to help get people's attention and realize that, you know, they better act now, and that's really what we want to do here is activate people. So I think that just the curation of the items themselves and also your support and how you organize that, I think if you throw out a campaign that is just sort of off the cuff and comes out of nowhere, it's going to fall somewhat flat. But if you do some pre-marketing, and that could just be with your content calendar, you don't have to do any advertising against it, but just to let people know that it's coming, we've definitely seen that help. And it doesn't always have to be blatant either. It could be a very mysterious type of thing that you don't, you know, show all the cards in your deck. But I think for limited runs, I think social commerce can be very effective, but you can also do some things to kind of help that. Rich, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that was a great response. I think to your point, the curated commerce is becoming such a popular thing now, where people are targeting more of an individualized, you know, select, you know, so even though your product may not be widely sold, if someone is feeling like you're picking something specific to them, you know, like you're saying a piece of art or something like that, that's very unique, and it has kind of that appeal that you're specially picking this, or you're specially offering it to them as a VIP or something like that. I think you can build, you know, appeal to that and build attention, and really generate some traffic and have a successful campaign.
Yeah, great point. So next question, what were the budget ranges of the clients, or the clients had to spend on the examples that you gave? That's a good question, and I believe that I think probably the best way to answer that is that we work with clients who have all types of budgets, and that not every campaign has to be supported with an ad budget. So Moontoast units can definitely be distributed organically. We do recommend that that we do have an ad spend just to increase the reach, but in some cases that's not always necessary, depending on the quantities that you're trying to get across. I think that creating the event is the first biggest thing you can do, and there's a bunch of best practices that that I've spoken about today that don't require an ad budget. I think if you are trying to reach the masses, then that's definitely where the ad budget comes into play. But we've had people that spend as little as $50 to $500 on just a simple campaign to extend their reach to the rest of their existing audience, or to maybe a smaller demographic. And we've also had clients that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to reach millions and millions of people. The next question, would you recommend using Pinterest or Instagram to drive traffic to your websites or Facebook contest? I think my answer is absolutely. I think anywhere that people are spending time online is an opportunity for you to, again, create that appointment dynamic or brand awareness, and especially all of the kind of social networks that are top of mind to all of us, so the Facebooks, the Twitters, Pinterest, Instagram. Like, there's a ton of creative things that you can do in any of those environments, and they're all a little bit different too. So Instagram, has photos and videos. So what are the creative things you can do to bring awareness to a product launch or an e-commerce campaign that's coming up? I think there's a lot of free marketing that's out there that really is only limited by your creativity. Next question is, you talked about Keith Urban implementing campaigns to build buzz. Does Moontoast offer other units that build engagement with fans? You mentioned the video referral unit earlier. Yes. So, as I said, Moontoast really focuses on, well, I'll give you some history. We started out doing social commerce, and as we realized that we were being really successful with people at the end of the conversion funnel, we also realized that the social consumer is, or the social audience is made up of people that are at all different phases of the consumer journey. So it's very, very simple for me to like a Facebook page or follow someone on Twitter. It requires absolutely no investment. And because of that, we have worked with clients to try to migrate people and nurture them along this consumer journey by providing units like the video referral that increase awareness about something and drive with a call to action. Or with our sweepstakes or lead gen units, we're able to capture email addresses within the social stream that the brands can then go back and direct market to. So we've also noticed that there's a very, very high percentage of people who are in the social stream as a fan of a certain brand, but they're not on their email list. So it's a very simple way to do a giveaway or have like a be the first to know VIP list, email list that people can sign up for. And we're just harvesting people at an incredibly high rate. Up to 91% of the email addresses we collect are completely new to our clients' files, which is a staggering number when you think about it. Will this deck be available for review later? Yeah, we're actually recording the webinar, and we'll be putting this on our YouTube channel after this. So we'll follow up with an email when that's available for sure. Next question, is Moontoast optimized for different devices? So we spoke about mobile kind of in general. That does include tablet devices as well, and kind of the approach that we've taken is, we definitely look at the popular devices that are out there today and have a mobile-first strategy from our perspective. So everything that we build, we're paying close attention to how that can be as responsive as possible with various devices that are out there. So that's definitely a big opportunity and what's the word I'm looking for? Priority for us. Thank you. Tim can speak. So following up on one of the earlier questions, what type of consumer information can we collect using Moontoast in social? So that's kind of a big question. We have certain units that are designed to do information capture from our standard platform. We also do customizations to collect any other data, so it really depends on kind of what you're looking for. And in addition to that, we're also rolling out Facebook Open Graph capabilities so that we're tied in more with the one-click kind of sign-in and authorization through Facebook to get access to more and more consumer demographics. So we're really excited about that, and that's something that we launched our first couple of campaigns with last quarter, and we'll be doing a lot more with in the future. Question, how do you price your services, hourly, by project, or something else? As I said a moment ago, Moontoast is a SaaS model, so we price as a monthly fee. Rich, would you like to take that for Lyons?
Yeah, so a lot of our fees really, depend on the project, but it's usually, we'll do obviously a very detailed estimate, for you, depending on the work that you want to do. And then continue from there. So that's usually how we'll price it out. So we'll go through obviously gathering requirements in terms of what you need to do, and then prepare a very formal proposal.
Excellent, thank you. Looks like the last question that we have here is, does Moontoast provide consulting or strategy guidance with the platform? Absolutely. We believe that we're in a very early market. One of the questions earlier was about consumer confidence purchasing on social, and I think we've been the leader, if not one of the leaders, that have really addressed that, the actual making the purchase in the social context. So we want to work with all of our clients to understand, number one, what your goals are, what your objectives are, beyond just e-commerce, but also how do we get people to the point where they're ready to make a purchase. And then, what are the units that Moontoast offers that are right to do that, and how do we create these events, sometimes using multiple units. So we've had a lot of success where we'll use, again, our video referral unit with maybe, the Keith Urban example is a great one, where he's in his hotel room taking a video saying, hey, this thing is coming, and then we'll follow that up with the social store, and then after that maybe we do an image gallery that has a series of up to 10 images of the product where people can learn more about it and then link off back to the e-commerce site to make the purchase. So we definitely work with our clients to understand what your objectives are beyond the simple commerce piece, but also to make your campaigns as effective as possible. All right, I think that's all that we have. I'd like to invite anyone, if you do have questions, to reach out. You can find me. I'm Tim at moontoast.com, or the slide we're looking at. You can reach us at hello@moontoast.com or info@lionscg.com. Rich, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to join us today and for your perspective. And thanks to everyone who joined the webinar, and we look forward to speaking with you more soon.
Yeah, thank you, Tim, and thanks everyone for being online. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone have a great day.